Hi folks, this is David Farmer. Today I want to show you how to use Elastic Audio to pull two field recordings into sync. You know, if you say use two Sony M10s or a Zoom and then a 722 independent recorders running wild, the recorders, drift over time and things won't be exactly the same length. So what I want to show you here today is how you can use Elastic Audio to basically almost act like the recorders have been slaved together. So what you need to do, the first thing you need to do is make sure that your recordings are set up so that you can actually use them this way. So the way I do it is I start all my field recorders running and I put them all in record, and then I do 3 hand claps at the head and then 3 hand claps at the tail of the recording before I stop the recordings, so that I have transient markers inside of all of the recordings that I can use to line them up. So what I have here today is 2 files that were, same recording on 2 different recorders, and I let them run for 37.5 minutes so that they would hopefully drift over time a little bit, and just for use in this example. So let me show you what I've got here. See, here's the 3 hand claps at the head. I use 3 hand claps because it's easier to see, when you go to do this process. And this is the 3 hand claps on the first recorder, and this is the 3 hand claps on the second recorder. And then likewise at the end, there are 3 hand claps here on the first recorder and 3 hand claps here on the second recorder. So what I've got here is both these tracks are in polyphonic Elastic Audio, as you can see here, polyphonic. And that's because I'm actually going to shorten even the one I'm using as a master, and I'll sort of show you why at the end here. But let me go ahead and show you the first process. You use the Pro Tools tab to transient feature, especially if you have a hand clap like this. So I turn this tab to transient on here, and I select before the first transient on the first track. I hit tab, and that brings me to it tabs me to the first transient, and I hit the shortcut A, which is trim to start. And then I do the same thing on the second track. I put the cursor right before the transient, and while tab to transient is on, tab to that first transient, hit A to trim to start. So now both of these clips or regions start at the first transient, the first hand clap. So now I select one, either one, and then Control Shift, grab or click the second clip, and that will bring them in phase together. So now what we do is we go down to the end, and we look at the hand claps here. Oops, I've still got tab to transient on. So now here's the same hand claps across the 2 recorders, and you can see that they have drifted over time a little bit. Now this is not a terrible example. This is only 2 frames difference, as you can see here, but that's over 37 minutes. But so they have drifted a little bit. But anyway, what we're going to do is phase these up, or it's not quite the same as word clocking 2 recorders together, but this is actually, you get very good results doing this. So this is why both tracks are in Elastic Audio setting. What I like to do is go to grid mode at this stage, turn on the grid, and then what I want to do, so I can get them both as close together as possible, is actually shorten the master. I'm going to use this second track down here, since this one is shorter, use that as the master to bring this top one in sync. So now on the second track I go to warp mode, and you can see that Elastic Audio has given me a warp marker right there at this transient of this first hand clap. So what I do is grab this warp marker, and I just pop it to this grid marker here. You see this? So now I do the same thing with the top track. I go to some warp marker mode, and then I pull this. See, it's got a warp marker there already present on the transient of the clap. I just grab this and snap that, since I'm in grid mode, snap it to the same grid that the master track was on. So now both of these are pretty much in perfect sync. So now I'll turn both of these off. I'll bring this back to waveform view. And at this stage, since the Elastic Audio has been done, you can actually shorten these clips. And what I like to do is make sure that both clips are the same size. So I select over the end of both of them and just hit delete. So now I've got the clips, or the top one and the second one. First one and the second one are both the same length now. And then you bring up the Audio Suite Duplicate plugin, and you just hit render across both of these files, and that will render you two files that are exactly the same length and should be in sync. Now I'm going to cancel this for this process because we're not going to sit here on the video and wait for these to render. But anyway, that's a really cool way of using Elastic Audio to synchronize multiple recordings that have drifted over time. So we find this really useful. We used this on an Aero recording for Hobbit that we had about 6 or 7 recorders going. And lots of channels with microphones with long cables, and the recorders were set up over all the different trajectories of the arrows. And we were able to sync up very long recordings this way, and so you could listen down through them and make composites and stuff like that. So this is a very cool tool. I hope you like it. I hope you get some good use out of it. Thanks.